Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to the Elmore County Commission work session dated Monday, March 9th, 2020. We'd like to recognize District Judge Patrick Pinkston and Probate Judge John Thornton, elected officials who are with us tonight. We appreciate you being here. We welcome all of you here in attendance today. We'll call this meeting to order. We will begin with a notice. At the March 23rd, 2020 Commission meeting, the Commission will consider amending Section 12.9.5 Benefits while in leave without pay status of the Elmore County Policies and Procedures Handbook from 5 days to 3 days for consistency with the remainder of the handbook. We'll now proceed with regular business, a review of the minutes of the February 24th, 2020 Commission meeting. Any comments or amendments? Hearing none, we'll proceed. Review the memorandum of warrants for the period February 19, 2020 through March 2nd, 2020. Mr. McGinty.
Commissioner, the memorandum for that time period was $1,659,874.48.
Thank you. Any comments or questions there? All right, we will proceed to old business. A notice of a public hearing taking place on March 23rd, 2020 at 5 p.m. to discuss proposed right-of-way vacation by adjoining landowners of Johnson Street from town limits of Eclectic to Central Avenue in Eclectic.
Mr. Chairman, this is just a little cut-through road from Highway 63 to the street there, and it's all the landowners are in agreement that there's really no need for it. Nobody is in opposition to it that we've been told.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll proceed with new business. We would like at this time to invite Mr. Steve Welch from the Autauga Elmore DD Support Services, Inc. If you'd come up to this podium there and make sure the light is on, and you can take a few minutes to address the Commission.
All right, there's a light on?
I think so.
Okay. We're basically with all the big business. We just have more of this as much a formality as anything. The Department of Mental Health is asking that around the state of Alabama, what is currently called case management, you're seeing it referred to as support coordination. It's all the same thing. Be separated from agencies like mine. I'm the director for Autauga Elmore Developmental Disabilities. We provide group homes, day programs, all kinds of stuff around Autauga, Elmore, and also down in Lowndes County. What this does essentially sets up a sister organization to do that one service, and that's all they'll be allowed to do. They will not be, they're not asking for funding. The funding's already there. It's just a matter of separating the management and governance from my organization.
Thank you. We appreciate you providing the documentation regarding this, and we've had an opportunity to review that. We appreciate the services you are providing in the mental health arena. We hope that as we move forward with this, and we expect to have an open line of communication with you with regards to what we can do for citizens here in our county with mental health. I will say to you that I have had the opportunity to attend some Montgomery Area Mental Health Authority meetings and advocate for services in Elmore County, and have not gotten as far as I would like. So we hope that this is a step in the right direction, because we truly need the support for the people of our county.
Well, like I said, these services are already funded. They just want them separate from what we call direct services. Like I said, the Sugarberry Center here, the Smith Center over in Prattville, Isaiah Center, Millbrook, places like that. Just want them separated.
All right, great.
We're always welcome to receive money if Elmore County ever gets any extra. But that's not what we're here for.
All right. Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, Mr. Welch, what we would be doing is just recognizing and the formation of your organization.
You're essentially this is what's called, just like Montgomery Mental Health and just like our Autauga Elmore Developmental Disability Services. It's a public entity, so it requires that you essentially a resolution has to be attached to the Articles of Incorporation for us to even file the articles. And we're asking y'all along with the Autauga County Commission.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Need more information?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Do I need to hang around?
We're good.
I will. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we're going to add one item. It's not printed on the agenda, but we have some visitors with us from the Elmore County Technical School. We'd like at this time to invite Mr. Buddy Broadway and Dr. Hull's here with him and others to come forward and address the County Commission regarding some of the things that are happening in the technical school.
First of all, thank you for letting us come speak tonight. I won't take but just a second. I'm going to let Mr. Broadway do most of the talking. But we appreciate the Commission's support, the Elmore County Technical Center, and all our programs. Plumbing and pipe fitting program we have, I think it's the third year. This is the third year of that program. It started out of State Plumbing Board coming in and helping us, telling us they had a need, they needed filled. They helped us get the program going. It's going great. It's growing fast. These young men here tonight have a wonderful opportunity coming up in the next month or so, and we're here tonight to ask for a little help with that, and so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Broadway to explain a little more.
Thank you for having us. Two students to my right here are in my class. Gregory's a third-year student, so he started with me when I started. So he's already been to competition. This will be his second year going to competition at Skills USA. That is put on by the state and federal. There's no assistance to us as far as money to get us there, but there's assistance in us getting prepared to get to the competitions. Their competition consists of not only performance, but also written tests and resumes and interviews. And Gregory last year competed for his first time, and they won a silver in their competition against two other teams. This year we'll be competing against 4 teams from 4 other counties. David will be going this year to compete also. He's a first-year student, but David also works in the plumbing industry on his days off. Gregory did also too. What we're asking for is just a little help to get us to this competition. They've been doing fundraisers, and you know, we had done everything except for knock on door to door, but we've done peanut sales and donations from other companies, donations from our sponsors in our industry, and we're looking at trying to get these guys to competition. Now, what they get in competition is awareness of performance that they've done, that they can also be proud of, that they have achieved in their studies and in their performance that we do, but also something that will help them maybe, you know, obtain and keep a career job in the industry that we're trying to fill the positions. Across the state and across the nation, plumbers are really getting hard to find. It's not really a glamorous job, you know, to go into. It's hard work, hard labor, but that's what the program's for, and that's what I'm trying to do with these young, you know, ladies and gentlemen, and fill these positions. Would you all like to say anything? Probably nervous as I am.
Well, there's no need to be nervous. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate the service that the technical school provides. We hear all the time as county commissioners of the growth in the technical school and in the programs that are offered, both in the participation of students, but also in expanding different programs and offerings to the students. So I believe Superintendent Dennis has told us the technical school has grown from 300 students to 900 students or something.
350 to over 800.
350 to over 800. So we see that growth and continue to expect further growth, I'm sure, as you expand programs. How many students do you have in the plumbing program right now?
35 total.
35, and that's collective from all of the schools in the county that come to the technical school.
They come in for shifts from each county,
right,
you know, bust in.
Okay, great.
We do 4 sessions a day, lasting a little over an hour per class.
So how were these students selected to be the participants or to represent in the competition?
Test grades is a lot of it. Staying up with your studies, making sure that your performance on your test grades are there, and then the desire. You know, we don't push them towards skill. We want them to push us towards getting them to skills. So when they start doing the performance as far as soldering and cast iron and different things that's involved in plumbing technology, they want to show that they can do it. Gregory went last year as a junior, and he went to work for Darnell Plumbing and worked a summer there, so he kind of wants to go back to doing something like that. And David would love to do industrial plumbing. He's wanting to either do industrial or maybe get on with the waterworks, something like that. So he's looking for retirement and you know, some good benefits.
Yeah.
And Greg is looking more for pay.
Well, good. Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
I went to the competition in Birmingham a few years ago.
Yes.
The electrical portion, and it's really, you know, a good thing.
Skills USA is a student organization. For those of us who've been around a long time, you remember FFA? We still have FFA.
Right.
Skills USA is like FFA, but for the construction trades. So we've got Skills USA in plumbing, electrical, welding,
Heat and air,
automotive,
yeah,
all, heat, ventilation, air conditioning, welding,
carpentry.
architecture, or carpentry, all of those programs. So the students learn leadership, organization, and then they get to go show their skills and compete with other students. And they place, and if they finish first, they go on to nationals in Louisville, Kentucky. If they finish first or second. We've had some students from another program 3 years in a row we've sent to Louisville, Kentucky. And so this year, we're going to
Yeah.
hopefully send some from plumbing as well.
What's pretty good about the Skills Alabama, it's been in operations for 50 years that they've had competitions in Birmingham. Plumbing was the first competition 3 years ago. There's never been a plumbing. So we're trying to get with the modern times and get that education out there too, and that trade, because it's a needed trade.
I'm for the
Great.
plumbing and electrical. I think that's a good
Mhm.
graph,
It is.
because it's gonna be something we all need. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I appreciate what y'all are doing, recognizing the fact that, you know, we are short in our workforce of skilled labor. Years ago, everybody decided you had to go to college to be successful, and that's not the case. So appreciate the time you both are putting into making that school successful and the time you're putting into these students. And I tell you couldn't have a better teacher. Plumbing is in his blood. And so, I appreciate what y'all are doing.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, we will now proceed to the consent docket. I have one item to add to the consent docket, and I'm going to give one of our elected officials an opportunity to briefly provide some explanation regarding this. The item I would like to add is the procurement and authorization of a certified facility dog at the Elmore County Judicial Complex. This is a great opportunity that our county has to participate in with a professionally trained and certified dog to serve the public in our judicial complex. So, Judge Pinkston, if you'd like to come up, since you will be the proverbial dog handler, we'd like to hear from you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. It is true that there has been a increased movement across the nation based upon some pretty compelling data that's been generated by the psychiatric community, that there's a tremendous benefit that inures to children in particular and adults as well by using facility dogs or therapy dogs to assist in the reduction of stress, etc., but particularly within the context of litigation within the court system. I come to you tonight as the presiding juvenile judge who, in the last 6.5 years, have had hundreds and hundreds of children come through my court, and I've watched varying degrees of trauma disrupt their lives and the lives of their parents and others. And after about 2 years of hearing about and receiving some training in the use of facility dogs to ameliorate some of the anxiety that in particular children experience, and after having found no one on my juvenile probation staff, that's not a pejorative conclusion about them, no, but I couldn't find anybody else other than myself to be willing to serve as the primary handler of a facility dog. 9 months ago, I got on a waiting list, and a few weeks ago, I learned that Charlie, a 3-year-old Labradoodle, having been trained for almost 3 years, is available now for us in Elmore County if I will submit to 5 days of training, and if we can otherwise get in compliance with the requisites under the guiding black letter law. And believe it or not, your Alabama legislature a couple of years ago passed some statutes relative to therapy dogs and facility dogs and put some requirements and obligations clearly enumerated in the law for those of us who may be willing to take the plunge to try to assist children. So tonight I come to you under Section 1221-148, seeking the Commission's permission for the procurement of Charlie, who is available to us, to allow me to serve as the primary handler of the animal, and also to allow Charlie to be covered under the county's liability insurance policy as required under 1221-148 sub D. I have met with the county attorney about this. I've met with Richie earlier today about this. Some of you and I have talked about this recently. The long and the short of it is this service animal would technically be the property of the county. It would be my responsibility as the primary handler to care for this animal, to provide for this animal. Thankfully, there is sufficient funds in the Juvenile Court Services Fund to provide for all of the animal's needs. So I don't come to you tonight seeking any funding, rather authorization for me to act in this capacity so that this facility dog could be available for everyone in Elmore County. I know procurement of this dog is contingent upon your approval, but I've taken it upon myself to go ahead and plan for success. My training for Charlie is scheduled to commence Wednesday evening through Sunday. Friday, I have about 25 different county employees and other affiliated agencies having designated multiple individuals to serve as assistant handlers. The Sheriff's Department, for example, I met with the Sheriff and Chris Ogden, Deputy Chris Ogden. They are interested in utilizing the animal from time to time when interviewing children. Department of Human Resources individuals, juvenile probation staff, the District Attorney's Office, and quite frankly, anyone else in the social services realm that may be associating with children. If they get the assistant handler training, which again is scheduled for this Friday, they would be authorized to use this animal. So it's my hope that gentlemen, you'll consider this request. Charlie will come with I've already even spoken with, where's Jimmy? Is Jimmy in here? There he is. Jimmy and I have also designated the outdoor restroom facilities and the location for Charlie at and around the judicial complex. So we've planned for success. That would fall to me and not to maintenance. So that's part of my job, and I'm willing to undertake this if y'all are willing to authorize me to do so. And that's my pitch for Charlie for Charlie the facility dog. And I'm standing by to address any questions that you might have for me.
Well, we appreciate you being here, and we appreciate the information you provided. We are all familiar with service dogs and the opportunity that we have in Elmore County that some other counties either do not have a desire or are not able to acquire such a dog that's trained and prepared to serve the young people. So we appreciate that. I have spoken with our legal authorities and also with the executive director of the ACCA regarding the liability issues or the covering of the dog, and there are no issues with that under our current policy. So we look forward to the only expectation I have is that the dog visits a county commission meeting at some point.
The next county commission meeting, I'll have him here.
We can get some good pictures.
And while we're at it, my good friend and colleague I see sitting really quietly over there is Judge John Thornton. I'm going to invite Judge John Thornton to come to the assistant handler training, but even if he is unable to come this Friday, if he ever has a young person in an adoption proceeding that could benefit from their friend of Charlie, they probably having met them perhaps in a TPR proceeding in juvenile court, I'll be happy to drive Charlie over. I'm seeking for y'all to authorize Charlie's use not only in the courthouse up the road, but in this one as well. Whatever we can do, whatever Charlie can do to alleviate or ameliorate anxiety, stress of a child, that's what this judge is committed to implementing him to do to the fullest extent possible. That's why we're getting everybody involved so that he is busy as possible. So, there you have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll proceed. We do have some other items on the consent docket. Approved sale of Sheriff's Department surplus vehicle list, approved travel memorandum, and approved family medical leave request for Andrea Smith, tag clerk. We'll proceed now with personnel notifications. Notification of resignation of Holly Bruns, dispatcher Tier 1, effective 3/2/2020. Notification of hire of Christian Rhines, part-time corrections officer, replace C. Kodja, effective 3/1/2020. Notification of hire of Jackson Jarrett, equipment operator 1, replace T. Sedaris, effective 3/16/2020. Notification of hire of Anthony Thomas, equipment operator 2, replace C. Reeves, effective 3/16/2020. Notification of hire of Philip Dunn, engineer tech 2, replace A. Petrie, effective 3/16/2020. We'll now proceed with reports to the Commission. We have Deputy Chief Engineer Luke McGinty with us tonight in place of Mr. Byer. Luke, do you have any items? Okay, thank you. We'll now proceed to reports from the Commission. We'll begin with Commissioner Holt.
One thing I'd like to say, appreciate all y'all being here, and I wish you good luck with the young men at competition. Hope that goes well. Like I said, I'm glad that you're here. And I wanted to say a couple of things about, in my particular district, for sure, according to one man that keeps up with it, we had 23 inches of rain in January and February in my area. I want to speak to that area. I had 6 inches last week, in 1 week. So we've had a huge amount of rain that affects our roads and stresses our guys. I know one of our men worked till 10 o'clock last week one night, working on something. I don't know what he worked on, but he worked on something. I'm sure with roads. But and I've had about 14 work orders since the last commission meeting. And I went up, Luke, and looked today. I told Richie at Byte Road, because I saw our truck coming back that I knew had delivered the Packer, so I knew that's probably where it went. So I went up and crossed it, did a good job. And I think our men and women in the highway department are doing an excellent job trying to, I mean, I don't see how you do it. The weather, you know, with the weather and all, but I really thank them. You pass that along, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Daughtry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here. I particularly want to commend Judge Pinkston. I don't think any of us have any idea what impact this is going to have on our children that come before the court system or in the court system with their families and so forth. And we're just very blessed to have Judge Pinkston to take this step, and having served the privilege of serving for 25 years as a K-9 officer, I just know without a doubt that there's going to be great things come from this situation, and we can't wait to meet Charlie, Judge Pinkston. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Mercer.
Thank you, Chairman. This past week, I was one of a group from Elmore County that attended the National Association of Counties annual conference, the legislative conference in D.C. I attended multiple meetings and that were related to me being a member of the Policy Steering Committee for Community Economic Workforce Development. There were multiple issues discussed that are important to counties. We also met with our delegation from Alabama. Many of the members were available to meet with us, and that was very, very positive conversations we had about the needs here locally in the county. And we also met with USDA, who is a primary funding agency for broadband, whether it be through grants or loans. We are still working with our Economic Development Authority to promote the expansion of broadband into the unserved and underserved parts of the county. That was very successful meetings. We learned more about what we need to be doing in order to help aid in the expansion of broadband. In my capacity of serving as the ACCA Legislative Committee member, I wanted to give an update on a few pieces of legislation important to counties that are making their way through the State House. The first one I'll discuss is the Senate's passage of a statewide emergency notification system, which, if passed and signed by the governor, will be used to notify the citizens of any kind of hazardous condition, a natural disaster, or any other emergency statewide. Another bill that's working its way through is the expansion of the Employees Retirement System Board. There are a large number of local employees that participate in this board, along with state employees, and what the counties are trying to do is to have more of a presence on that board. So that is working its way through the State House as well. Another one is the streamlining the nomination process for the county boards of equalization. And that, as we all know, that board deals with property tax values in each county. And also, the ACCA has introduced two bills this session that both deal with alleviating the financial burden that the counties have as a result of the sentencing reform guidelines passed in 2015. The counties picked up a large amount of expense as a result of state inmates staying in county prison, county jails much longer than they have in the past, and we have much larger populations of state inmates in our prisons, so we're working to address that. Last thing I'd like to do, I'd like to recognize Jake Atchison sitting in the back there. Jake is here. Raise your hand, Jake. He is here as a part of him acquiring a merit badge from the Boy Scouts troop. He is a part of, and I just want to recognize him and tell him I appreciate what you're doing and appreciate your efforts. Chairman, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Reeves? All right. Thank you. I appreciate my fellow commissioners and their commitment and dedication to our county. A couple of items I'd like to address. I also was a participant in many of the meetings that Commissioner Mercer described in Washington, D.C., and I'm pleased with the progress that we're making in many areas. Government oftentimes is slow moving, and it can be frustrating at times, but when we begin to see some breakthrough in certain areas, it is definitely rewarding, and I look forward to making progress in some of these specific areas with broadband and our infrastructure development here in Elmore County. Also, many of you are aware that our collections facility on Red Eagle Drive, which is adjacent to the Highway Department and on the way up to the Wetumpka YMCA, is open for business. It opened last Wednesday, and obviously we've received a lot of rain, and Saturday and Sunday were beautiful days, and I'm fairly certain that everyone in Elmore County decided to clean out their sheds or something on Saturday and Sunday because we were overwhelmed with trash and debris at the collections facility over the weekend. And we are continuing to cultivate that project and to make adjustments and modifications so that we can better serve the people. We will be monitoring the frequency and certain days that people are using it so that we can do a good job of getting things hauled off and replacing the bins so that we can make sure that everyone has access and is able to use that. So I'd encourage you to take the opportunity to bring something up there, check it out, see what's available, so that when the opportunity and time does come for you to dispose of a lot of items at one time, you'll be familiar with where it is and what it's available for. In addition to that, I'd just like to take a moment and encourage all of you to participate in the runoff elections that will take place on March the 31st. We had a great participation in our primary elections recently, and I felt good about the excitement in Elmore County, and I hope that that will continue as we advance towards the runoff elections. There were some issues at some of the precincts with mud and just getting in and out of the facilities because of the rain that we received and not being prepared for all of that. So we have a plan in place prior to March the 31st, although I'm sure that it will be 85 degrees and sunny on March the 31st. But we have a plan in place that we will have those parking lots prepared for a torrential downpour so that if it does rain, it will be very accommodating for anyone who chooses to turn into those parking lots to vote. So we are prepared for that. We've gone out and assessed everything, and we will be bringing in material to improve those areas. Also, we did close today on, the, gas station, down here at the bottom of the hill. As you know, at our recent, commission meeting, we approved the purchase of that property, and it did close today, so we will be, making some changes to that area. So look for that as you drive through downtown in the coming weeks. I don't have anything else. We'll turn it over to Kimberly for important calendar dates.
Mr. Chairman, one thing from the work session items, we do need to have a show of hands about adding the facility dog to the business agenda.
Is those who are in support of adding the certified facility dog to the consent docket, will you show a hand? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Under the important calendar dates, our next commission meeting will be Monday, March 23rd at 5 p.m. with the business meeting following. Saturday, April 11th is the Operation Spring Clean and also the Preparedness Fair at Lowe's in Wetumpka at 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. Monday, April 13th is our first meeting in April. Sunday, April 19th through Thursday, April 23rd will be the NACE conference in Orange Beach, and Tuesday, April 28th will be our second meeting in April, and that's also County Government Day at 9:30 that morning.
All right, thank you. We'll reconvene shortly. I'd like to welcome everyone to our Elmore County Commission business meeting dated Monday, March 9, 2020. We will call this meeting to order. We will begin with an invocation offered by Commissioner Reeves, following which Commissioner Holt will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us bow our head. Lord God, we come thanking you for all the blessings in this day. Lord, thank you for keeping us in our right mind and giving us the right spirit to do the things that you have us to do. Lord, bless us with understanding that we can glorify you through the ones we serve. Lord, and at this time, keep us in unity for the people that we serve. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's stand, please.
Ms. Kim, would you call roll?
Commissioner Holt?
Here.
Commissioner Daughtry?
Here.
Chairman Stubbs?
Here.
Commissioner Mercer?
Here.
Commissioner Reeves?
We will proceed with regular business. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the February 24, 2020 Commission meeting as presented during the work session?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt?
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry?
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the memorandum of warrants for the period February 19, 2020 through March 2, 2020?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt?
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry?
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
We'll proceed now with new business. Is there a motion concerning the resolution for Autauga Elmore DD Support Services, Inc. for formation of a public corporation?
Chairman, I move that we table this matter.
A second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt?
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry?
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
Proceed now. Is there a motion to approve the consent docket as presented during the work session?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt?
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry?
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
Personnel notifications, notification of resignation of Holly Bruns, dispatcher Tier 1, effective 3/2/2020. Notification of hire of Christian Rhines, part-time corrections officer, replace C. Kodja, effective 3/1/2020. Notification of hire of Jackson Jarrett, equipment operator 1, replace T. Sedaris, effective 3/16/2020. Notification of hire of Anthony Thomas, equipment operator 2, replace C. Reeves, effective 3/16/2020. Notification of hire of Philip Dunn, engineer tech 2, replace A. Petrie, effective 3/16/2020. Are there any additional reports to the Commission? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt?
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry?
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves?
Yes.
We are adjourned.